Hey guys, thanks so much for joining me today. This is Vicki from 29 in September Studio, and this is the very first episode in a new series that I'm recording, all about fashion marketing and how to get customers to your fashion business. In this first episode, I'm going to be talking about 5 mistakes that I often see brands making when it comes to promoting their small fashion business. So let's run through these 5 mistakes and see how we can avoid them and how we can do things a bit differently to be more successful. Now, the first reason, the first mistake that I see people making is that they try to sell to everyone. And the problem with this is it does become a case of trying and failing, because if you try to sell to everyone, you'll end up selling to no one. And I do sort of get the logic here. People assume that most people on earth will want to buy clothes at some point. So by promoting their products with everyone in mind, chances are someone somewhere is going to buy eventually. But actually, you end up having the opposite effect, because if you think about it, if you're promoting loads of different types of clothing, loads of different styles, people aren't going to want to follow you because they just don't know what to expect from you. And if you're promoting something they love one day and then the next day it's something that they hate, it's just going to get annoying for them and they just won't bother. So actually, instead, it's much better to be super specific. So rather than trying to sell to everyone, try and really hone in on who your ideal customer is and promote your brand by including things that are really important to them specifically. And sure, this is going to put people off who aren't a good fit for your brand, but don't see that as a bad thing. If they're not a good fit for your brand, they're not going to buy from you anyway. So you really need to get super specific on who you're selling to so that you can build a connection with them, build a brand that they're going to love. And not only will that help you to attract them as a customer in the first place, it'll help them to keep loyal and keep coming back to you as well. Now, the second thing that I see people doing is relying too much on social media. And I have a quote here from a recent Forbes report, which talks about how Instagram converts only 3.1% of people into buyers. So that means the other pretty much 97% of people aren't going to buy from you if they see you on Instagram. And that's just, one particular quote from Forbes. And it's something that I hear all the time. And not just for Instagram, just in general with social media, the conversion rate isn't that great on its own. And typically people need to see your brand multiple times before they go from kind of that initial time that they saw you and found out about you to becoming a customer. So unfortunately, marketing isn't as simple as just posting a few pretty pictures to Instagram. Customers need to keep seeing your brand, so it means that you need to have an entire strategy in place to increase the chances of a potential customer actually transitioning into a buyer. So instead, rather than just focusing all of our attention on social media, we want to create something that I personally call a sales journey. You've probably heard of something similar, maybe a sales funnel, a marketing funnel. There's different terminology for it, but I like to use the word sales journey. And that's a strategy that I use and use with my customers too. And basically, it's a process for anticipating that the customer needs to see us several times and making sure that we have these different touch points where the customer can come into contact with our brand. They can start to feel that trust building, they can start to understand who we are, and eventually we'll go from maybe they saw us on social media and then went to our blog and signed up for our email list, and then eventually became a loyal customer. And that's so much better than just having someone who will double tap on Instagram, but it doesn't go any further than that. You really need to have a whole strategy in place rather than just posting to social media. Now, the third mistake that I want to talk to you about is not building an email list. Email marketing is huge right now, and although I'll admit in recent years it's become a little more complicated, it is still a great way of reaching your audience. And if you're one of those people who hasn't done this, I strongly suggest that you get on the case, because email marketing is one of the few promotional methods where you have control. So it's not like Facebook or Google or anything else where there's an algorithm that you have to contend with and only a certain number of people are going to see it. With email, you control whether or not people receive an email from you for the most part. You're the one who has the ability to get them to open it by using catchy subject headings. And most people check their email at least multiple times a week, sometimes multiple times a day. So they're going to see that email from you versus if they're on, say, Facebook, they won't see all of your posts. With email, there's a much higher chance that they're going to see that message from you. So instead of not having an email list, you need to focus on growing your email list today. Even if you don't have a business yet, you need to start working on this, because you don't want to launch your business and then not have anyone to sell it to. So email list is really one of the first things that you need to do for your business. So if you haven't started already, make this the next thing on your to-do list. Email marketing has a much better conversion rate than a lot of other marketing methods, and for the most part, as we said, you're in a lot more control than you are if you're with another platform. Now, the fourth mistake is that people talk about themselves too much. It's all me, 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 and it really should be about the customer rather than your self-promotion. People don't want to hear about you all the time. They want to know what's in it for them. So rather than constantly self-promoting, you instead want to help your customers. And if you kind of change your mindset and think of marketing in a way of, how can I help my customer today, rather than what can I sell them today, that mindset shift and the way that you come across your customers will really change, and I think you'll see a big difference. So what I'm trying to say is the majority of your content should be helpful to the customer rather than self-promoting all the time. Now, that's not to say that you can't include your products. Absolutely not. Obviously, you want to still be referencing your products and talking about them, but don't do it in such an obvious way. People are going to get sick of getting messages asking them to buy from you, asking them about promotions and all this kind of stuff. Whereas if you give them something that genuinely solves a problem for them, then they're going to want to keep interacting with you, keep going to your website, keep reading your blog, whatever it might be. And I know that is a little bit of a hard concept sometimes for people to understand. So if we take maybe an activewear brand as an example. So one of my clients has an activewear brand specific to people who do personal training, that kind of thing. And he, in his blog, writes about different workouts that you can do, different ways of cooling down, smoothie recipes to improve your workout, and all these kinds of things. So people go to him because they want to know what the new smoothie for that week is, or want to know what the latest technique is for this kind of exercise. So because this guy is helping his customers, it means that they keep going back because they want that helpful information. But of course, any photography that's in those posts, any products that are referenced, are all his products. So even though he's still marketing and still promoting, it's not in an obvious buy this now kind of way. It's a lot more subtle, and it means that he gets a lot more engagement from customers because they're getting something useful out of it. And the final mistake to share with you today is I see a lot of people who aren't automating any of their marketing. And without systems in place to automate a lot of this process, it can really become a full-time job. And I know a lot of you guys are small, or you're a startup, haven't even got product yet, and budgets are tight. You don't have the budget to hire a full-time marketing person to work for you. So it's super important to get processes set up so that you're not spending all of your time marketing, and it'll free you up to do other things that you need to do for your business. So instead of doing everything manually, you want to make sure that you're using scheduling tools, automation software, and at the very least bulking tasks together, like photography, for instance, so that you can save a lot of time and make sure that you're actually able to work on your product, work on your customer service and other things, rather than marketing becoming this all-time consuming thing. So it will really help you to be more consistent with your marketing as well, because you can schedule, for example, Instagram posts to go live every day. So you don't have to be sat there waiting to post it or remembering to do it. That's what I do. I have content that I upload in bulk, and then it just goes out and it's done. I don't have to be thinking every day or looking at my phone, especially good, because you do want your own time at the weekends and things, so you don't have to be thinking about marketing 24/7. So that was my last tip for now. I hope that they have been helpful and given you a lot to think about. If you want to learn more on this topic, there's a couple of options for you. First off, you can check the blog at 29inseptemberstudio.com, which has got more free articles and content. And also there's the Attract Loyal Customers course, which is my latest program. It's a short course, about 4 hours long, and we go into a lot of depth on the topics that we've just discussed and other strategies for basically attracting customers, keeping them coming back to your website and converting them into buyers. So if you're interested in either of those things, you can see the links below the video for details on those, and you can reach out to me at any time on any kind of social media. I'm at 29 and September Studio. Always am open to suggestions for new videos, new content, so by all means leave me a message and I'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for listening.